Let's think about an opening meditation. Simple, slower yoga, a little bit easier yoga, a little bit more fundamental yoga. Maybe laying on the back, propping yourself up on your blocks or your bolster. Remember, this is restorative fish. An easier variation would be a bolster or a throw pillow underneath your upper back. I'm going to use a block for a little bit more of a stretch here, a little bit more of a trigger point massage. And then that second block is for the head. Remember, you can release your head to the floor if you'd like a bigger stretch. Bring those arms wide. You can either spread them straight or bend them as a little different stretch. I'll also add my soles of the feet together, knees fall open. Get a little inner thigh stretch. So getting a lot of stretching done here. Close the eyes. If you need to adjust or move a little bit to get more comfortable, then just settle in here for another maybe 2 minutes. Nice deep breathing. Maybe setting some intentions. Stay focused in the present moment. Remember, this is one of my favorite poses to work on abdominal breathing or diaphragm breathing, where as you inhale, you feel the abdomen lift and spread. I like to hold the breath at the top of the inhalation. Nice, slow, deeper exhale than normal. Here in the end, I'm going to add something. I'm going to reach my legs forward and my arms back, taking a little bit more of an active approach, full body stretch, getting the underarms. This tends to be a little bit more of that lat muscle, whereas arms wide in the first part was a little bit more of the chest, front shoulder. This is a little bit more of the back and back shoulder. All right, yogis, when you're done there, slowly make your way off your props. Knee on the back here, please. Let's start with our knees into our chest. Remember, I'm just moving ahead at my pace. You pace it out on your own. Don't feel like you need to rush to catch up or anything, all right? I'm just gonna massage my back here. And again, some fundamental subtle movements. Circling the knees together, massaging out the lower back sacral area. Maybe rolling out the ankles a little bit here. So if you're just joining, we just did a restorative fish. We were laying on our blocks under the upper back. Hips were on the floor with the thighs opened. If you want to do that, take your time, all right? Now we're just in light opening movements, ankle rolling, knees circling. This is a fantastic one where I windshield wipe the knees. The feet are about mat's width distance. On the floor, knees are bent, and I'm knocking the knees side to side. Breathing. Okay, so thinking like therapeutic movements and activators right now, yogis. You can make it stronger if you want. I will try to give options, all right? Next little movement here, yogis. Keeping the knees toward the chest. We're basically gonna alternate the opposite knee into the chest. So right knee is toward the right shoulder, squeezing the knee in. Some days you want to pause longer here. Left knee in, right leg release. We're going to do this a few times per side. All right. You could, if you're gonna switch again, right knee in. As you release the left leg, try to have a little activation in the core. If you want a little bit more, this is more active version. I'm lifting the upper body a little bit, the shoulders, and I'm kind of pumping the knee as I straighten the opposite, right? So there's very light holding the knee in for a longer period, relaxing more. There is a more moving, kind of crunch, active form. They're both basics and rather simple and gentle. Have a go at it. Let me give you another 20 seconds here. Now, the opposite muscle group, that's kind of like a child pose or even a, down dog. Now we go for that back line, good old classic bridge. In the first exercise, our feet were together, knees were open. Now we kind of activate those muscles after we open them. Thighs, squeeze your block if you have one. Arms down, lower back down, hips lift. I like to pause up in my bridge. Some mornings I will go up and down, kind of like this, right? Like I'm really moving, like a little faster, right? That feels really good and needed a lot of days. Some days I'll get up there and kind of pause. So I'll move into it, I'll pause, but then I'll slowly massage it back down. A little bit more focus on articulation and holding. And some days, yogis, I'll just hold. They're all good. How can you do this in a way that feels good for you? There's not a best bridge variation. So let me give you another 45 seconds in bridge world here. If you're feeling excellent, you could do a one-legged variation. If you're feeling a little achy, a very soft bridge, you lift your hips a few inches. Fundamental here, yogis. Just basic bridges some days. We do fancy bridges and, up tables, but let's get back to those basics. A couple of you are just joining. We did restorative fish, so we laid on blocks for a nice opening stretch with the soles of the feet together, knees open. We've done some nice light circling of the knees and kind of windshield wiping the hips, hip flossing, it's sometimes called. And then we did kind of knees into the chest. So right knee into the chest, left leg forward, and then switch, kind of just those wind removing style positions. And now we're in bridge, either moving up and down in bridge or holding. So all fundamentals, the good stuff, right? All right, yogis, let's keep it going. Meeting down here. Let's take that first twist. I'll meet with the knees to the chest. I'll take them over to the right. Nice long spine, right arm out. Some days I would hold, some days I would move. It depends on how the body feels. A lot of times movement in the beginning of practice feels good to me. Okay, left hand on top of right, long spine, laying on my right side. Inhale, left arm up and open. Exhale, left hand toward right hand. Turn from the core. Feel that stretch in the core. Exhale. So I'm repeating this, right? If you need that demo, just in case, you're laying on your side and you're kind of going like this, right? Maybe you want to hold the stretch after a few movements and breathe a little deeper. I'll give you another 20 seconds here on the first side. Think about waking up the rotation of the core. We woke up the front and back body in multiple different ways. All right. Second side, please. So you'll roll onto your left or just your second side. Just make sure you're not curling into a ball. And then right hand on top of left. Inhale, right arm up and open. Turning from the core, the neck can move. The arms are involved. You will feel a hip stretch as well. Really nice full body one here.
You know, we're always finding ways to rotate the spine in a movement method early in class, right? Kind of get the joints moving, flush the blood through there, breathe deep, get the oxygen up in the bloodstream. So we're only going to do, you know, another thing or two here on the back.
I want to do our hamstring floss down here, yogis. This is straight from physical therapy. It's really phenomenal for like sciatica too, and just tight hamstrings, lower back in general. So you're doing your twisting. I'm just going to demonstrate so you can kind of go right into it. You'll meet with on your back, knees into the chest just to neutralize it, okay? You release your left leg. You'll take your hands now. Remember, we did this earlier. If you were just coming in, we kind of did this in like a slower way to get kind of warmed up there, right? So this would be now second tier there. Hands intertwined, fingers intertwined behind the right hamstring. Try to flex your left foot and lengthen through your left heel. We are getting a little bit more active. Press your lower back down a little bit. Inhale, bend the knee, pull it in, point the toe. Exhale, I'm trying to straighten the leg. This is an achy stretch, yogis. I flex the foot, pull the leg toward me. But I'm trying to straighten the knee and flex the foot. A little pause, and then a bending of the knee, a pointing of the toe, and then a straightening of the leg and a flexing of the foot. A bending of the knee, a pointing of the toe, a flexing of the foot, and a straightening of the knee, and pulling. Get into it, yogis. Last moments. You know, there's no, like I say, no exact number. Try to be intuitive. I do it until I feel a change. Like after I think it was like 8 or 9 of those, my hamstring felt different. It didn't like ache as much, right? So I could go to my second side. I'm not trying to do 1,000 reps right now, just a nice light opening stimulation. All right, this is nice because it's knee extension too, right? We all need more strength stabilizing that knee. Flex your right foot, hands, fingers intertwined. Try to do your opposite bind, yogis. My left pinky is now on bottom. Okay, inhale, bend knee, point toe, pull knee in. Exhale, knee goes away. Flex that foot, pull. Straighten that knee. Inhale, exhale. Going at a nice, slow, mindful pace, feeling it all, articulating better. Trying to activate the leg in a way where you get a stretch in the opposite muscle group. All right, now no rush. I'm feeling pretty good there. My left leg a little less tight, so I don't need as much on that side. I'm moving forward here, loosening up for a moment now. I want to do one little core exercise. Let's say abs. It's the dead bug. Ball the feet touch, shoulders right under the wrist, hips under the knees. Nice and slow. Right leg forward, left arm back. Remember, the key is to press your lower back down, to pause, and then to come back to center. Left leg forward, right arm back, opposite leg and arm. Back to neutral. And then you get into it, yogis. If you'd like to do another core exercise, you're feeling good, by all means, you can also do both legs forward. That will be more. But remember, our goal is to keep our lower back from arching. Yogis, you're not just pedaling the knees. You're not going like this with the arms. One arm stays up, yogis. It's this. It's this right here. But on your back, which means it's front line activating. One arm stays to the sky, one leg stays neutral in the sky. One reaches back, one reaches forward.
It's very simple. It's not swinging around. It's very basic. Now, look, here, my left knee doesn't move. Right leg goes forward. My right arm does not move. My left arm goes back. Right? So I'm keeping my lower back down. This, if you arch your lower back a lot here, it's becomes very likely to irritate your lower back. That's the problem. A lot of these exercises done without a lot of intention and self-awareness, they're going to injure you. It's not the yoga instructor that injures you. It's not the sequence. It's the condition of your body and how you're doing it. I can do all this stuff and never get injured. Easy. I do it more. That's one thing. I don't take days off. I do not do that. People take all these reasons to skip stuff. It's just conditioning. Your body's adapting this stuff. So the less you do it, the more likely it is to make you sore and injure you, and the less likely you're to understand it fully. Okay. So, even if you can't make my class, I got 250 classes on YouTube. So do a million other teachers. So try to have consistency, even if it's 20 minutes a day, that is a game changer. All right. Nice job there, guys. To finish up our back here, how about we do one more little bridge just to kind of seal all that front body work in, our twist to our hamstring floss to our abs. Take that nice back body hit and lift those hips one more time and turn your butt, lower back, and hamstrings. If you want to go hands under your body, kind of rolling the shoulders under, intertwining your fingers. If you want to lift your heels, I'm suggesting some things that I do, in different days. If you want to even lift a leg, if you want to do an angled bridge, what feels good, yogis? Think of it like a vinyasa, right? You do a lot of front body postures, and then you kind of neutralize the back body. Now, I'm not going to teach figure 4 right now. We'll save something like that for the end. All right. You got you're working that final bridge here on the back, and you'll eventually lower your hips down. Take a little happy baby maybe here to kind of feel good movements after a lot of tightness and work. Happy baby, you straighten the legs and open them. You rock side to side. You make it feel good. You explore. All right, when you're ready, we'll rock forward and back. Let's make our way up to tabletop, yogis. So take your time, do your rocks. If that feels good, you know where to meet me here in this cat-cow type movement. I'm gonna do the wrist stretch with the fingers facing around. We haven't done that all week. I like to add this one in, kind of killing two birds with one stone, right? Fingers face the knees, inhale, lift the chin, drop the belly. Exhale, round. Pressing through the forearms. I'm a little ahead of you guys. You got plenty of time. We're doing cat-cows with the fingers facing the knees to open up the elbow crease and the wrist. Remember, I like to suggest a couple linear cat-cows right down the middle before you start to circle. Sometimes people go like right to circling, that's a fine approach, but it is good to do a few, maybe like right down the middle. Move the spine now, even though we did bridge and a little bit of spinal rounding, we didn't move the spine forward and back in a very free way. So here's your opportunity. If you want to now do circling, maybe turn your fingers forward. Active cat-cow would be another fun variation. Reverse cat-cow, if you remember that. Just some spinal movements, right? And since we did the opposite, this is an awesome exercise, yogis. And I don't know if we've done it all week here, but I tend to throw in a few of these in my exercise warm-up
Think of today's class kind of like a one long warm up almost, right? Inhale, right leg, left arm. You remember you did this on the back for the front body. Now you're downward facing for the back body. Left hand, right knee down. Right arm, left leg. Come on, get a quality reach out of there. Pull that belly in. You know, you are working a little bit more now. And then you're going to do what? 6 to 9 per side, kind of going into the movement, pausing. You can add things. You can move faster. Some days I go fast here. Some days I add the core crunch. Some days we do, 20 different things here.
Maybe you want to keep the hand down. You want to circle your hip joint instead. You kind of already did elbow to knee, right? So that's why I was skipping that. We already did the abs. Everyone obsess over the front body. I see it constantly. I walk around yoga rooms. Anytime anyone gets someone free, it's forward bending. Even like yoga, really seasoned practitioners still aren't grasping that they overdo the front body. They overstretch the back and overstrengthen the front, and that's the same effect. It's like compounding, right? We need to stretch front body more, which when you lift your leg up and back, it stretches front body. And when you squeeze it under, it tightens front body, okay? So most of you look like you're done. We're gonna go to down dog. A couple of you still going. Down dog is next. Let's stretch out those feet and shake out the neck and kind of get into some spaces we haven't yet. Nice. Yeah, some of you want to go forward to plank and back to dog. That's nice. Some days you just got to keep moving, yogis, When I was in like the middle journey of my yoga, all these teachers across LA, when I first moved here, a lot of them, you just like, I'm not a big flow teacher. I really should start teaching a big flow class per week. But I would go when I wanted to move a lot, I felt like I needed that. I would go to these teachers, they just move you the entire class, right? I mean, that's kind of like how they always teach. And then there's these teachers that you never do flow. You like basically hold little postures all class. So I would have this opportunity to like go to that style based on what I feel like I need and what I want at that time. And you kind of have to mix that into this class, right? So, because, you guys all come to me mainly, right? So more of that kind of personalizing movement versus stillness. All right, so we're in down dog. Listen, I want to get into our side body. We haven't really gone there that much. So down dog, we are working now. Feet hips width distance, lift your heels high, drop your heels over to the right. So you're going to feel your left hip dropping away, lengthening from your left wrist. It's a really big side rib underarm stretch. But you're not in plank. Your hips are up and back, right? And then you can let those hips drop to the right a little too. All right. It's a really good one, yogis, if you can learn to find that stretch. All right. And then come back to center, over to the second side. So we are weight bearing on the arms. We're trying to go longer on the arms now. All that back body stuff, there's no weight bearing stimulation on shoulder or arm. Remember, if you're in plank here, it's a twist. So you're not really warming up side body that much. If you're in dog, it's a lateral movement. If you're in plank, it's a rotational movement. Very, very different. And it's very easy to kind of mix those two together. So let's come back to center. Let's shift forward to plank. Yogis, I want a couple of rounds of push-ups today. It's fundamental. I haven't really instructed push-ups in any class this week. So, maybe you drop to the knees, you bend the elbows an inch, right? Knee push-ups. I do those some days when I'm really sore to get into it, to warm up. But if I'm feeling good, full push-ups, maybe I'll mix in a couple diamond push-ups. Maybe I'll do a couple like go down and hold and a pulse. Come on now, let's bend those arms and work that beginner fundamental exercise. Sometimes I'll do my hands a little bit wider. It's not like a traditional yoga thing. Like I said, diamond push-ups, that's not obviously traditional yoga, but why limit ourselves based on what a couple yogis These big yoga teachers created systems for their people in southern India. Sri Pattabhi Joy created a yoga practice for the certain people of southern India in 200 years ago. And now LA Yoga is obsessed with that practice for some reason and thinks that's not good yoga unless you're doing that. I'm still trying to figure out that one. But is that a fantastic sequence and practice? Yes. And do I use that a lot? Yeah. He was a master, right? But it's not the end all. Okay. Let's keep the most open mind as possible. Just like living in a flexible body is a lot easier than a tight body, living in an open, flexible mind is easier than a narrow, rigid mind, right? All right, lower down to the chest, guys. I'm not gonna do chaturangas now. You'll have a moment later. I'm breaking it down. Down dog, plank work, and then our cobra work. All right, let's do it. Inhale, lift the chest, the cobra work in an isolated form, not in vinyasa form. Unless you want to, no big deal. I'm gonna start in cobra ones because my back is tight. A lot of times, yogis, when my back hurts, I activate the butt and the lower back. I don't stretch it. I'm lifting the chest up. If I want a little bit more, I'm lifting up into that stretchy cobra. I'm still lowering down with awareness and intention. Then I'm going back up, taking a big breath, lengthening through the front body. This is biggest front body stretch so far, yogis. Our biggest back body stretch was the hamstring floss, down dog. All right. And if you want to put a few together now, if you feel like the chaturanga is calling to you, feel free. But this is an important part. Like I said, we need to stretch the front body more and contract the back body more. The average person, I teach just one class. It's pretty high level, intermediate, big time, up in Marina del Rey. It's my third class on Saturdays. And, I had 10 people, all regulars. And, I give all this freedom in that class. And you just see people constantly like touch your toes. They do the same pose all class, right? They keep rounding forward like this. All right, so this is an important part. Don't always change back bends into forward bends. All right, down dog, please, when you're ready. I'll do the chest stretch in a little bit. We'll get there. All right, I just want to do a couple standing basics. All right, down dog, walk your feet to the front of your mat. Take your time. I'm a little ahead of you. No worries. All right, so we already kind of did this a couple times. Touch your toes. I'm not going to hold you there. I'd like you to find a nice chair. Fundamentals. Let's get our one round of squatting or chair pose in. So you know what to do here. Sit low, reach high. You can move up and down a little bit. You can shift to one leg. You can go up and down like full squat kriya if that's feeling better. I tend to do that more often. If I'm in a yoga class and the teacher says chair, I do chair. But when practicing on my own, I'll do like squat kriya and then I'll like hold that chair, maybe pulse it, kind of do a one legger. I'll do a sagittal chair. So I'll put one foot in back from the side. Then I'll step my feet a little bit wider, a little bit of a different angled chair. So how about I give you another minute in this kind of squatting chair world here, and you have a fun, personal practice about it, right? Nice little walking chair, I like that, right? Remember the 3 planes of motion, yogis? I say them a lot, chrono, sagittal, and transverse. This is linear, symmetrical, foundational, but if you go here, that's sagittal. See how one's in back? I mentioned that. Transverse is like feet really turned out, it's rotational hips. Right? Another transverse chair would be like a twisting chair, right? Not really in the hips so much, but in the core. So there's your 3 planes, but you can get a little bit more. You can lift one heel. See this one? It's hard to see my socks, but my right heel is lifted. That's a fun one. You can be like really creative and make it like a neuromuscular training, right? A weightlifter wouldn't really do that because they want to build muscle mass. hypertrophy. It's a different objective. I'm neuromuscular trainer. I want brain to have to work. Muscles are fun, yogis, but boring and just too basic. We're meant for so much more. All right. I want to get our first lunge round in. So it is squats right into lunge, yogis. So it's supposed to be now leg heavy after the arm heavy work. Push-ups, dog, right? So you stand up, maybe take a back bend, left foot to the back of your mat. Today's like fun Sunday, right? Lunge world. You want a nice sturdy hold? Does your back hurt? Tuck the tailbone. Do you want to go humble lunge? Do you want to move in your lunge? Another movement lunge is kind of here, right? Chair, twist lunge. Chair, twist lunge. You get one round of lunges today because it's simple Sundays. I'm not making you do too many lunge. Come on now. You're on the first side of your lunge, your first round. Let's keep it going. You know, some days holding a sturdy warrior two would be really nice here. Yeah, nice, Dessa. That's one of my favorites right there. She's stepping back and turning across the front leg. You know, a lot of times in fitness, you do it like fast, but with weight. Don't forget, you feel good. You add a weight to your training. It's called yoga sculpt in some modern circles. And, you know, adding weights, yogis, you know, the modern human, we don't work on a farm and walk 100 miles a week to our destinations we need and then carry stuff back, you know, the weight carry. We're not as active as the older humans, right? So yoga in the olden days was very stretchy. If you're not doing a lot of physical activity, you got to add that weight bearing exercise. Yoga is really not adequate, guys. All right. On a good day, maybe you hold that lunge, do a couple curls with your light weights, or you do a couple arms up. Can we do the second side of lunge, please? I want to keep you moving here. So some of you guys look like you're kind of done or shaking it out. You know, if you already did both sides, you can take a little stretch or something. But I want to give you a little bit longer here because we're in leg part of class, right? So go ahead. You know, and just because you did one side one way, you don't have to do it necessarily the same. Yeah, nice, Anna. I like that. You know, like kind of pivoting the hips. Remember the class we did with the, you know, we were in like lunge and we were like circling the hips. And we did one class with the pelvic tilting of the hips. I did one class where we circled in lunge. You can go from high lunge to warrior two, back to high lunge, right? Even warrior two would be lunge here. I'm going to do another pose for that today, but you know, a style like that. Last few moments in the lunge, yogis. Remember, lunge is really fantastic for changing walking because you're getting strong in this path, right? Knees bent, and that's kind of like walking, right? Lunging is often associated with walking. Squatting, not so much, right? That's more like sitting or bending over. All right, so shake it out, yogis. I see a lot of you guys look done with your lunge. I'm just gonna move forward. Let's get the straddle going. Now, this is our hinge and a straddle. It's a dynamic mobility drill, whereas lunge and squat were a little sticky and achy. This is a mobility drill, twist, bend over. Arms up, inhale, chest lifts, go slow, especially back pain people. Left hand toward right knee. Inhale, shin. If you feel good, toe or even outside. Come on, yogis. Inhale. Basics, bend over and touch the toe. They teach this in like high school, right? It's really good. You want to twist upright and lunges instead, that's cool. If you want to do a sticky one, hold our goddess pose and go down to the right, up to the left. They're all kind of in the same realm. I teach those a lot. Some of these just did twisters in your lunge. You might not need it as much.
So, this is taking care of hinge and another rotation, right? Now, the final standing fundamental would be balance, right? So you want to take your time, finish that up, get that blood flow. It was a good minute there at least. Good old balance. Let's do it. Easier, middle ground. So tree is easiest probably. Foot on inner knee or shin. A little stronger here is this. If you want to go a little bit stronger, you could do something like warrior 3, but I do want it to be balanced. So half moon, half moon maybe if you hover, but I really want it to be balance focused, right? So half moon, warrior 3, tree, standing up with the knee, or anything fancy. Toe balance, toe squat, figure 4 chair, half standing lotus, eagle, standing bow. There's tons of standing poses if you're feeling good, or get on that one foot, yogis, and hold that position now, or move. Just stay on one foot. Okay, what are we trying for here? About a minute. And then you switch sides here. Just taking care of basics, right? Squatting, lunging, hinging, bending over, rotating, and balance. We're doing really well as far as just having a strategic approach. I remember I was studying this exercise physiologist, and there's all about the idea of what is functional exercise, because there's so many mixed opinions even in that realm. And he was on that idea. It's like, your body works in so many different ways all day. So you should probably train your physical conditioning like that. And that really kind of made sense to me. If you say you go into an exercise routine, you should do this some days, probably just have like subtle, running, let's say you just go run for an hour, that's your exercise. But, all day, your body's doing all this different stuff. So you got to train it to do all this different stuff, let's say in a simple way, and that's really what we're trying to kind of focus on. The body is so complex, and how it's working is so, artistic in nature and just brilliant, really. So we kind of mimic that in the exercise. Okay. All right. When you're done there, take your time. Let's do the one last, I want to do calf raise. It's like a fundamental exercise. Last balance, quote unquote here. You guys keep going, catch up to me, lift the heels, drop the heels. I'm gonna lift and hold and really try to feel my toes. Simple Sundays, we gotta take time to do this, yogis. I'll usually do calf raises, it depends. I'll once a week, twice a week, I'll miss weeks, but get those calf raises and strengthen those ankles and knees. That's posterior chain, yogis. That's walking. Another nice thing to do is to lift your heels and kind of walk like that and try to keep your knee and your heel lifted. You're going to feel your calf light up, because for a moment you're one-legged. For a moment you're on that one-legged heel lift. You could also hold a wall and do a one-legged heel lift. That's going to be a lot more strenuous. Be easy if you're new to it.
And you really pump the back of that ankle, calf, Achilles to fire way more than normal. Unless you're lifting your heel, you're not really activating your calf, your gastroc, your soleus. Walking is not enough. Like, I know you lift your heel in walking, but there's no weight. That's not your intention. Calf raises are important, yogis, like way underdone. And so much weight is bared and dependent on these muscles and joints. Okay, so there's another fundamental for you. All right, yogis, please take your time. I'm going to move forward, either touching your toes or yoga squatting on the way down, maybe a little of both. Big shoulder stretch opportunity, hands behind you, forward bend. I'll give you 30, 40 seconds to make your way down, either squatting or Uttanasana, reaching for your toes. So we did like squatting and a strength sense earlier. This would be the opportunity to take it to like a stretchy squat, yoga squat. We didn't do chyo pose, but we did knees on the chest and the back, which is the same. All right, and this is going to be the opportunity for chaturangas now. So we'll plant our hands. I basically want one more round of arm bearing exercise. We did a nice kind of legs. We did some bridges for legs. We did some leg extensions, pretty good there. So high plank, low plank, up dog cobras, maybe like 6, 12 of these. If you're feeling really good, this would be an inversion opportunity. If you want to do another round of push-ups, beautiful. What do you need to work on, yogis? People who do like chaturangas all the time, if I was working with them personally, I wouldn't waste time with that. They do it too much. Their body's good at it, and it's like their comfort zone. But you know, someone who's not good at push-ups, that'd probably be a main focus. You know, a whole exercise routine, day one, bridges, squats, push-ups. You know, maybe one twist, and you just like repeat, simple plan, basics. Last few moments here, please. Nice little headstand, I like that. We did a side body opener, and this is going to kind of finish up our arm bearing exercise. I do love this one. It's modified half moon. You can basically hold it longer with less strain, and you will get the opportunity for your bow here. I'm going to keep moving forward, yogis, just for time's sake here. Now, remember this one. We often do it earlier in class, and we're doing it a little bit later here now. Right leg is going to rise. This is our side body. If you want to do a side plank instead, so I want to drive my bottom left hip forward. Don't let the butt stick out. Push the bottom left hip forward. Pull the ribs in a little bit. Flex the right foot, lift it high. See how I'm kind of lifting and pulsing that hip? Okay, I'm keeping my side body as nice and long. Last few breaths. Now I said you could do a bow here. That's going to be a different intention. Depending on if you want more front body stretch. I would probably, you know, if I needed strength, I'd hold that leg up and maybe pulse it. If I needed stretch, I'd probably take bow, but even though both really are stretch and both are really strength. Someone said that. I said it. I remember there was like a week or two ago. Someone after class was like, "Isn't that posture like a stretch?" And you said strength in there. That's the thing. You know, you can make most of these postures a stretch or a strength. It depends on how you're doing it and what's your intention. You can make them very difficult, or you can make them easier. Right. So we're gonna do. This is basically our one really strong side body activator, our lateral hip, our kind of side shoulder as well. Okay, second side, right knee, right hand down, left arm up. Remember, your right foot kind of pivots off your mat behind you just to stabilize you better, so you're not so kind of gonna fall out of this every second. Okay, Come on, let's do that work. Fundamental here. Sometimes I have you lay on your side and do this. I have you lay on your back, roll to your side, top leg lifts up, top leg lowers. That's another way you could do this right now. Side plank is in the same realm. Forearm, bent knee side plank, half moon. I even have you in chair and I'll hover one foot and the leg goes out to the side. All those could be kind of used as the same part of class, let's say. All right, looks like most of you are down there. I'm going to bring you down to the chest and I'm going to take the time for a big, this is a stretch I do regularly. I want to make sure we get it in here. I've been saving it usually for today's class. Lay on the chest. This is our chest opener. We need to open up that pec major and anterior delt. So many people really tight right in here, guys. All right. Right arm reaches out. Lay on your chest. If you want more, bend the arm. Push through your left hand. Roll open to the left. Press palm and elbow down. Relax your head. Let's breathe here, yogis. Kind of just slow down, right? We did in chaturangas and a lot of standing strong poses into that side balance. Now calm everything. This is our biggest upper and basically our main upper body stretch of class. Pec major, rotator cuff, anterior delt. It is going to stretch across the chest, the ribs, down the abdomen too. All right. Second side, please. Remember, stretch your tighter side more. Not every day. Some days I'll just put a timer on and do both days, both sides the same, but most days it's just an intuitive process. You wouldn't spend time cleaning a clean room, right? You would probably go clean the dirtier room. Same logic. You have a lot of rooms in your house. You wouldn't clean, you have 2 bedrooms. You wouldn't clean both the same. If one is cleaner on Sunday, you'd probably clean the dirtier one a little more. If you had a lot of vitamin C already, you probably wouldn't take a supplement. You'd probably take vitamin D because you haven't got enough sun. Same logic. More intuitive, not just a robot. So yogis, I'm going to get a little bit more into stretching, and I am going to do the full pigeon stretch today. Okay. So this is that front body opener. This next one, pigeon's more like a side body and back body opener, right? It's like glute and it's IT band and it's back too, right? So when you're done, maybe a quick child pose or neutralizer. If you want to lay on your back and do figure 4 Sukhasana, that's cool. Just remember that figure 4, even though it's the same category, it is slightly different. I say they're interchangeable, but if they get really technical, they're not. They're actually doing different things subtly, right? So I'm going to median tabletop. Let's do that big pigeon that we aren't doing enough of. Left leg crawls back, right shin forward. Just remember that this is a back bend. Okay. If I stay upright here, it is a very different stretch also than coming down here. I tend to stay upright more as of the last year or two. For years, I'd always kind of come down right here. So now I kind of take my blocks, press my right foot down, tuck my back toes, and I get this stretch here through the front body because I need to stretch my front body more. My front body is more tight. I sit too much. I'm in the car. If you want to go big, right, you could always reach your whatever leg is back, right leg, right? Your right arm reaches back and grabs the top of the right foot. That's a big pose, not really a yoga fundamental. But I'll mention it just in case. Don't forget there's things like thread the needle if you're laying down. So if my right knee was forward, my left arm reaches underneath right armpit. Just a reminder of some things. I do it in all those ways. Right, and then when you're ready, let's switch sides. So upper body stretch. This is kind of like remember I've tried to mention this before, your spine is really two main groups, excuse me, your skeleton. And I like to base stretching and exercising off joints, not major muscle groups, because if we cover joints, we cover all muscles. And when you're thinking of like how you release the body, there's your axial of spine. That's like it's your skull, your ribs, and your spine. Skull, rib, spine, that kind of center. Then you have your appendicular spine, or skeleton, excuse me, appendicular skeleton, which is your ilium. It's your big hip bones with your femur. Remember, femur connects to ilium. That's all actually like secondary spine or skeleton. Why do I keep saying spine? Secondary skeleton. So when you're doing like release in the body, a good way to think about it is legs, which is hips. Hips are legs. I often say it's core too, because it can be said that way also, but in stretch release, hips, legs, saying there, spine, arm. Because your arm, sometimes when I'm teaching anatomy workshop, I'll do a little pop quiz to see if anyone knows this. Where does your arm actually connect to your axial spine? Where does your upper appendicular skeleton connect to your axial spine? It's right here. All this is free floating. Your scapula and your shoulder and your arm bones are like free floating, connected by fascia and muscle only. But where the main joint that connects is right here. It's your sternoclavicular. Everyone knows their collarbone, right? Clavicle, right? It connects right there. That is where the bone attachment is to your main part of your skeleton. This little joint there, right? So that's just a fun fact. But when you're thinking release, you think an arm, you think a leg, hip, and you think a spine. All right. So we just did upper body and we just did leg. All right. So what are we missing? Spine, seated spinal rotation. You could do plow if you prefer. So I'm going to do seated spinal rotation, guys. When you're done with your pigeon, I like these two together because they kind of connect really well, right? Pigeon is kind of like this, but then we add, it's like you take it again and you sit up and you turn. And it's more of that spinal joint release. Pigeon, you get some spinal joint if you do it a certain way. Chest opener, you get some spinal, some hip. Really, all of them are all parts, but we're focusing now with intention. Last big twist, yogis. Second side. Yogis, I got 5 minutes left in class. So we're gonna finish up this twist, and if there's one more like pose you want to do, like restorative bridge, legs up the wall, one of those fundamentals we didn't do, I'll give you a couple minutes for that, and then we're gonna guide you into meditation. Sometimes it's nice to also just sit and breathe. I really haven't been teaching enough of that. And that's not good, because that's something I've been really focusing on more. I've been doing this morning routine where I always breathe before I do a thing or two, but before I do anything else, no lights on, no phone. I'm doing breathing. I'm also doing like skull massage, like temples, forehead, sometimes here, opening up here, maybe a little scalp, really therapeutic and good for you in the morning. I'll do like a intention meditation, like thank you for this day, gratitude meditation, all before I do any of the cell phone and other stuff. And I'd like you to try to notice that. If you're not doing enough breathing practices, maybe do that now instead. You've done enough physically. Let me give you 2 to 3 minutes, 2 minutes. One more pose here. Restorative bridge, legs up. If you need a neck stretch, another wrist stretch. But get ready for your closing meditation because I'm going to lead you in there today, okay? I apologize, I always have to run quick on the weekends. I teach at 9:15 and it's a big class and I can't be late for that. By the time I leave here, it's 8:50, 8:55. So I apologize. I always kind of leave you in Shavasana, but I want you to know that is a classic yoga thing. When I started yoga, Hatha yoga, the teacher always guides you in the yoga room. They turn off the lights, very dim. Everyone's quiet. And they say, everyone be as quiet as possible. When you get up and leave, you have to be as quiet as possible, right? And they say 2-minute minimum. That's what they say. I always say 3, but 2-minute minimum. Lay, relax, and meditate, calm, stay as long as you can. And the room is yours for half an hour, right? And then if you want to talk to the teacher, you usually go out in the hallway and that's where they are. And you talk. And the closing meditation is key, yogis. So leaving you here is actually a blessing in disguise. All right. So last minute. Come on, take your mental, subtle self with more passion and intention. We're doing the physical part, which is kind of the platform for mental health. It's hard to be mental healthy if your body's falling apart or something, right? Or if you have pain, it's hard to be happy. So we're doing the physical part. Now let's take that next step up. Either, you can do some active meditations. A lot of people say my mind gets busy here. That's okay. You can't, if there's something that the yogis would say your spirit's trying to get you to look at, you want to meditate on things that your mind can't get rid of. It's a message. It's okay to meditate on things. Should I move here? Should I stay in this job? Should I stay in this relationship? You meditate on it. You gotta sit and think. Once you do the work and you meditate and get your answers, then that'll go away. What's that old saying? Until you learn the lesson, it's never going to go away. You can do the active meditation, yogis, but eventually you're trying to take that calm mind, Shavasana. So it looks like most of you are there. Appreciate you guys showing up for Simple Sundays. I think it's important we have this class each week. I will be here, Yoga Core, Tuesday at 9. Have a good weekend, yogis. Namaste.